Spring has sprung here in the kingdom of Bunjie. This is probably one of my favorite times of year. I just love it when the woods comes to life and all the native vegetation, all the plants start growing up, and you get to go around and see flowers you never saw before or that you never noticed before, and various plants. The trees, the apple blossoms are out, the trees are starting to sprout all their leaves and everything, and it's just a gorgeous time of year. It's a great time to be in the woods. This is also the time of year to go out there and pick some wild ramps, some wild leeks, if they're legal to pick where you live. What are wild leeks? What are these little ramps, as they're called? They are just a 8-inch tall or so little plant, just a little leaf that grows up out of the ground, grows out of a little bulb, and you can see a whole collection of them right here. They grow in these little clumps just like this, and if you drive around here, walk around here in this section of woods, you'll see them throughout here. This is a mostly deciduous type hardwood forest, okay? This section of woods is a few acres up in here where I've got a lot of maples, some cherry, that sort of thing. If you go down there in the woods where the hemlocks are, deeper into the woods on the other side of the creek, you won't find these little ramps. These things like a little bit of an open canopy this time of year. They like to be in this area. And there are collections of them, little ranging from 4 foot across type little size clumps of them up to a clump here that's probably 20 feet across. They're all over the place here in the woods. They are a natural little piece of vegetation that grows in the woods that tastes a little bit like onions, a little bit like garlic. They kind of taste like the potato chips, the onion and garlic Wise potato chips. That's kind of what they taste like, if you ask me. I'm down below the ridge staging clover food plot that I put in over the last couple of years up here behind me. But right here at the bottom end of that food plot is a large collection of those ramps. Now, when I go through and I spray my Roundup and all that stuff to put in that food plot, I was real careful not to destroy all of these. I wanted to keep these because they're kind of a precious little resource. They're something that makes me sort of reward you for surviving winter. That's the way I look at it. I go around here, have some of these, and they are fantastic. Over the last few years, I like to collect a few of these so that I can take them, put them all together, and make a little dish out of them. Now, I'm sitting here below that food plot, and I can smell these leeks calling to me. I can smell this whole area. It kind of smells like garlic, and it's those leeks that are letting off that odor. Now, where do you find wild leeks? You're going to find them in the woods, of course. I've noticed that I find them mostly here in an upland site. If you go down deeper into the woods on this place, you get down near the creek, you get down the swamp areas, or you get into a part of the woods where it's mostly hemlock, you won't see these things. But if you're in mostly a hardwood section here, I've got a lot of beech, I've got a lot of cherry and a lot of maple trees growing around here. And in this section of woods, you'll see these all over the place. They are scattered throughout the woods. Now, they mostly grow in clumps, and if you leave them alone, those clumps will get bigger every year. This little clump behind me, down at the bottom end of the food plot, is probably 20 feet across. But if you walk around the woods here, you'll notice plenty of other little collections of them that are, some of them are as small as just a few feet in diameter. Other ones are 10, 15 feet across also. You will find these little plants growing throughout the woods this time of year. About the middle of April here in northeastern Pennsylvania, they start popping up. If you walk around up until the middle of May, you'll still be able to find them. If you're farther south, they probably come out a little bit sooner, I would guess, if you have them. And if you are farther north, you'll find them a little bit later into the spring. Now, how do you go about enjoying these wild leeks? What do you do with them? First of all, you're going to grab yourself a little baggie. We're going to get a baggie and we're going to go fill it up. You can store them in the refrigerator for a little bit of time, but I will caution you, they don't last forever. You want to basically pick them when you're ready to use them. Only pick what you're going to need. This is something where if you went through and you picked all of them, you very well can end up with no wild leeks next year. To make sure that doesn't happen, use the resource sparingly. Use it wisely. In fact, here in this food plot, this collection right here, I'm not even going to touch, but there are a few that are growing in the food plot. I'm going to pick those out and just use those. It's kind of like weeding the food plot, kind of serving two purposes at the same time. What can you do with wild leeks? Well, you can put them in your favorite dishes, anything where you would use onion, anything where you would use garlic. Wild leeks will work perfectly. I put them in omelets over the last few years, potato soup. I made a cheeseburger. My mother made a cheeseburger for me last year that was fantastic and had wild leeks in it. On that note, I just want to caution you, in some places, it's not legal to pick these wild leeks. In some places, too many people were harvesting them. They got a little bit concerned about the numbers there, about whether there was going to be much of that resource left, so they actually banned it. So make sure that this is legal where you are. Here in Pennsylvania, I'm not aware of any reason why I can't go through and harvest these. They happen to be all over the place, and deer don't eat them. I don't know of any other animal that does. I've never seen any evidence of an animal eating them other than me. So where do you find wild leeks? You can find them in the woods. You'll notice that they are basically, get off of there, bugs. Now, where do you find wild leeks? You're going to find them in the woods, of course.